Hello, collective, and welcome back to the extended. So, I must say this feels a lot bigger than we are. This feels an extraordinarily it's larger. It's much bigger than we are, and it's much bigger than our concept of God. Because okay, so on the second row, we're starting off with the light. This is such a beautiful beginning to the reading, and it's kind of what's coming forward is kind of it's the story of how our creator, the not our creator, but our well, perhaps maybe yeah, because the creator is coming up as the gardener. It's like they have two names, the creator and the gardener. For some reason there's I can feel that there I can't tell yet if the creator is actually the gardener. It seems to me like the creator is not the gardener, but actually that because in this story that's what's happening here. So the creator gave it's talking about like gave the gardener the reins is what it's referring to. Like they've given the creation over to the gardener so that the gardener can then, like how we were talking about in the other collective reading, the gardener and us, which was like how to care for the earth. How does everything need to be set up? And I mean we're talking about like big things like temperatures, weather patterns, water, nutrient levels, all of the things that you could possibly think of in creating a world. Like that was the gardener's position, was to optimize the world. And in that previous collective reading, it was referring to once that world was optimized, then it was handed over to mankind for them to take care of. From I don't know if it's from then on out, but it was handed over to them for them to take care of. Now, we never actually did see how they took care of it, and I don't know why I'm just now noticing that I'm referring to in the past, whereas in that collective reading, it was kind of talking about in the present. I don't know. So perhaps that has happened before, where the world has been given over to mankind for them to see, to to care for it, which is almost implying to me that it would have then gone maybe something, this is pure speculation, but perhaps maybe something happened to where then the gardener has to take back over again because things got a little out of whack. And so it's just like with an aquarium, the aquarium analogy coming up. You can set everything up perfectly, right? And then, all right, it's go time. You hit the on switch, and it runs itself. But then every once in a while, the gardener or the aquarist, I don't, the person who's running the aquarium has to like do maintenance checks, right? That's it's kind of like what this is. So I don't know. That was a tangent, but this is presenting the story of how the gardener received their garden. So this is the gardener here with the light, not yet, in the beginning, in the beginning, it's so fascinating. I don't know, I'm just gonna talk, but like it's so fascinating when I find it fascinating when I'm channeling, and I'm also like, it's like I'm also receiving the message at the same time. So it's like I have my own like commentary. So that's why I'm chuckling, because I like in the beginning. All right, so we were talking about here. This is the gardener having already received and established, well, that connection with this source energy and utilizing it to, grow the garden, take care of the garden. And here, this is like before this has taken place. So before the gardener received that source energy to grow the collective, this is where they're at. They were in a state of reaching for this. And I find it interesting that their face is covered by their own, you know what I mean? Like by their own hand. Hi, Luna. Um, which is talking to me about like the identity, like their identity being, well, like unknown, sealed off. What it's referring to is that like the gardener's identity was unknown to them until they started to reach for this, for the light. And it's when they reached for the light that this was shown to them, or they then took this position as the gardener. So, with the gardener reaching for the light, and I want to clarify that the light and the sun energy are not these energies. They're not the temperance or the balance, which was coming up as angels and demons. It's not that, because, yeah, it's not that. The light is a tool that's used to create worlds, or it's only one. That's what it's talking about. It's only one tool. I mean, it could be like the main thing. I mean, it is taking up almost, it's taking up almost the whole card. So, yeah, it is the main tool, but there are others. I don't know why that is. That was being shown because it's like there are other realms that are helping our growth. Like this angelic and a demonic realm. Yeah. So, in reaching for the light, the gardener then comes upon the Wheel of Fortune here. And doesn't it look like the Wheel of Fortune in this, I don't know who this is, this character's hands? It looks like the sun. It looks like the sun disk. You see that? And now look at the size. There's a size difference that's happening here too, because look how massive, if the sun is this big to the gardener, look how small the sun is to, I guess, I don't know who this is. To this, I don't know who this is. I don't know what this is. I'm unsure. It's very cloaked. I mean, obviously, it's got a cloak over its head, so I can't. It's like I can't. I'm trying to penetrate this in here, and I can't see it. I can't see. But what I'm referring to here now is look at the size difference. So it's talking about remember we were speaking of, children of the sun, following, it's much bigger than what we understand as God. Now this gardener then appears kind of beyond that sun energy, which is like, I'm almost hesitant to say it, but it's like a step above God. I mean, I don't know how else to explain that. And then now what we're being shown is that there's like another step. Like there's another being that has gifted the gardener with this sun energy. And that's even further removed. It's further out. Wow, this is fascinating. Okay, so, but I don't know what this is. And I wonder if the gardener has to know. Because that's who gave the gardener the light, the sun. And it's interesting that, the gardener's face is covered. Whoever this is, they're completely cloaked. So it seems like, I'm wondering, it seems like when they go, okay, because we have the Ace of Pentacles following, when this exchange happens, like they get closer to each other, right? In this exchange, they're getting closer to each other. And as they're getting closer, the 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 gardener's identity as actually being the gardener is revealed. So I'm questioning and wondering if, as the gardener gets closer to the light and they get closer to this exchange, will this figure in the Wheel of Fortune, will their identity be unveiled? I want to say that because before we were having the distinction between the gardener and the creator, and it looks to me like perhaps maybe this is the creator. Is this the creator? I mean, they're holding everything in their hands. In the previous collective reading, The Gardener and Us, it was talking about how the gardener was managing multiple different worlds, and then in each of those worlds there were also smaller collectives. So they're taking care of these collectives. Each one has collectives within it, and that's kind of what this is talking about. It's like they hold the entire structure, the entirety of. Okay, so then that makes me want to think. That makes me want to say that this is like a creator, because they're holding the tool, and they also, it's like they're holding the entire structure of everything, like even all of our, even the smallest collectives, because even the zodiac, they're coming out as like really like like really small. They hold everything in place. It's giving me like an atlas vibe to it, like holding the world. Okay, so now we are at this exchange that's happening between, I'm just going to call them the creator and the gardener. So I do think that it's like everything is unveiled. I believe that when they get closer to this exchange, see, because the light here, the gardener is presented again as the Strength card, which showed up in the previous collective reading. So, and her face is unveiled. So the identity is known. And there's that line again, too, the Christ consciousness, which was just a smaller. So this Christ consciousness, hang on, there's something coming out here, that's this energy here is like one of the collectives, remember we were talking about a collective. And then inside of that collective, there are other collectives. This is referring to this Christ consciousness is a collective that has multiple collectives in it. And the multiple collectives that we were seeing before in the previous were these angels and demons idea. Like that's just the term I'm using to conceptualize this. So that's being unveiled. And hang on, I've lost my train of thought. I don't know why I was telling that. Why was I speaking of that? Okay. So that the idea of a collective having collectives within it is significant because in this exchange that is happening, what we have here, before we were talking about the gardener and the creator being unveiled. In that exchange that's happening, we have the strength, which is presented as the light. This is the gardener. And then we have, I'm loosely applying the creator, presenting as the Wheel of Fortune and the Hermit. And they're both, see, this one's wearing the cloak, and now the face is being revealed. So it's talking about their identity being revealed. What I'm noticing, though, is in the Strength card, we have all of this light. It's day. I mean, it's dusk, but it's light, right? And then in the Hermit card, it's dark. It's dark. And that's telling me that this gardener and creator dynamic, the two cups, are also, it's that fractaling again. It's the same thing as this. The temperance and the balance, angels and demons. See, this is in the day. This is in the night. Light, dark. This is the same thing. Light and dark. It seems as though because I'm picking up on the Hermit's lantern, which has the light inside of it. And look, there's that scale difference again. It's a scale. It's a scale. It's talking about, it's all, it's all fractals. It's been fractals this whole time. Oh God. Okay, so there is a scale difference. So this is just a fractal on a higher level. Like a much higher level. Way higher. And it seems to me like the creator, I'm just going to use that term for it. The creator is the one who gives the gardener the light in order to grow this, in order to grow the collective. But they're both reaching for each other. That's what I'm noticing here, because the gardener is reaching for the light, and then the hermit, the creator, is like, they seem to be moving. I mean, they seem to be moving towards each other like magnets. It's like they're bound to each other. It's very similar to the like a like with polarity. Like they're bound to each other. That's what this is talking about. The Two of Cups here, them being okay, with the snake energy. It's entangled. Their energy is entangled. The creator and the gardener have an entanglement with each other, in which this dynamic plays out, where they like work together, they balance the energies together. That's what both of these are talking about too. This is that balancing, the yin yang, the masculine and the feminine energy. And with this temperance, you see how these, it's like a alchemical like flow that is happening here, which is making me think of like the water in the aquarium. They both do their parts, maybe not how like mankind understands. You know, we have a lot of myths, legends, stories, right? Maybe not how we understand them, or, you know, we've like villainized this energy. But what's fascinating is that if we're talking about fractals here, this being very close, much closer to our realm, the angels and demons, this, you know, we'll just categorize that as demon. It's not, but I don't like the term because but I know that it's the term that the collective is going to understand. What's fascinating to me, though, is that we have the gardener on a fractaled level. In the previous collective reading, we were talking about how the made in the image of. The gardener would be, I guess, in a sense, classified as the temperance energy, the angelic. And the creator would be in the same boat as with these like demon energies, demonic. And I'm not speaking of, I just want to clarify, I'm not speaking of the classic way that we think of the devil card. That's not what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. So that's fascinating to me because a lot of us are love and light, and you know that whole thing. And kind of what's telling me here is that it's like our creator is like of the same, of that dark. Well, they contain both. That's the thing. Both, they contain both. We have the light in here too, right? With the hermit. And it's just like how with the concept of yin yang, like the dark has the light in it and the light has the dark in it. So it is both. This is fascinating. All right, let me see. I just want to see if there's anything else that wants to come out. Otherwise, we will stop. Let me just restructure this. I think that's it. Okay, this is reiterating what I was saying before about both the gardener and the creator having this. See, and that's where I was mixing it up. Is that I thought that I didn't know if the gardener and the creator were the same. They kind of there's like an overlapping here that's happening, and in this second row you can see it distinctively. I had to reorganize everything, so we had that exchange, them coming closer to each other and exchanging. So on one side of the exchange, we have the Wheel of Fortune and the Light, which is both the gardener and the creator. And then we have the same thing on the other side. And, well, one, it was talking about them being unveiled, their identities being unveiled. And then also what it's talking about is their, how do I explain that? Okay, I'm going to try to hold all these up. But there's like a switching. There's a switching. Do you see how this one begins the row, the gardener begins the row, and then the creator ends the row. And then there's a switching. It's like the one begins where the other ends type of idea. It begins, it's a looping effect. It's like I can't tell what comes first. It's like a chicken and egg type of thing. So one begins when the other ends, and then when that ends, the other begins, and then it's this cyclical. It's all like it's this cyclical dynamic it's this twisting like energy. It's a cyclical, not in a flat, not like 2D like how this would be, but like in like this twist, this spiral, and they just flow and grow together. Which is fascinating because isn't that how the earth turns as it's, or the, well, I mean, yes, the earth, but like the solar system, that whole thing, as it's going around the Milky Way, doesn't it like, it turn like that? It's all fractals. This is lovely. All right, thanks for watching the collective reading, and I will see you all next time.